Hey Jose Monkey, can you find me?
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. It took me a while to find this one, but it's another good example of how a video that seems to show almost nothing can still reveal way more than you think. The video is just 13 seconds long. Check it out.
Hey Jose Monkey, can you find me?
So what can we see? Chad, do we have a blocking violation here? Man, I don't even know how to call it. Because at first I thought it was definitely blocking. I mean, check this out. Bro's blocking 76% of the screen. But then they kind of got out of the way, so there's like several seconds that are unobstructed, so I don't know, give him a warning or something. Okay, fair enough. We can see some flags behind this person that appear to be advertising for a taqueria. Next, we see a building here, which I thought at first looked sort of like a church, but I wasn't sure about that. Next, we can see that there is a creek or a small stream here, and there's a pedestrian bridge that crosses it. And we've got a lovely parking lot here, so that's always nice. At this point, I noticed that the person was standing at the top of a set of wooden stairs, so probably on a small wooden deck. In the parking lot, we can see this sign or banner off in the distance that appears to say event, but I wasn't really sure what that was. There are also a couple more clues here that were a little harder to spot. We have what looks like a set of 3 flagpoles here, and I was pretty sure that this one was a US state flag. We can see that the flag has a blue field and a light colored design in the middle. I'll come back to that. Also, I wasn't sure, but it looked like we might have a howitzer or some other type of artillery on display here. Finally, I noted that this person's baseball hat had what appeared to be a black-on-black embroidered design. The design looks like it has a flying insect of some kind. I thought maybe a bee because we also have a hexagon shape, which I assumed was supposed to represent a honeycomb. But guys, I will tell you now that I wasn't able to find any information about that hat, and I don't know if it would be helpful in finding this place. But if you would like to embark on a side quest of your own to try to figure that out, I'd love to know about it. Okay, so how do we find this place? I wondered at first about the taqueria flags, but I figured that they were pretty generic and probably wouldn't lead me to a specific place. Yo, we should get some tacos. In fact, I was able to find that Amazon sells exactly these same flags, so I knew that wasn't going to help. I figured my best bet here would be to try to narrow this down to a particular state, and then look for the things that I see in the video in close proximity to each other in that state. Pretty much my usual approach for this sort of thing. Unfortunately, figuring out which state this was a little bit tricky. There are several US states that have flags that are various shades of blue, and many have a light colored design in the middle, usually a state seal. I thought this flag looked most like the Virginia flag, though it also could be Connecticut or maybe Kentucky. So I figured I'd look in those states. But look for what? Well, like I said, I knew we had a taqueria here. We also had that building that I thought was a church, and a pedestrian bridge that crosses some sort of waterway. So I just started looking for various combinations of those things in close proximity to each other in the states I mentioned. And I got some results. In fact, there weren't even too many of them, but none of the ones that I checked were right. I tried tweaking the query a bit, adjusting the distances, but I still wasn't finding the right place. I figured maybe some of these places weren't in the OpenStreetMap database, and I figured the taqueria was probably the one that I was least confident about. Restaurants kind of come and go. Also, I wasn't even 100% sure how to search for that. I didn't know if I should be looking for businesses that had tacos or taqueria in the name, or if I should be looking for any restaurants tagged as having Mexican cuisine. So eventually I just dropped that from my search and looked for churches that were close to pedestrian bridges. I also made sure to limit my search to only the bridges that were actually crossing waterways. Sometimes cities will have pedestrian bridges that cross roads, and that wasn't what I was looking for. Anyway, with my new query, I got some results in the various states I mentioned. But none of those was right either. I was starting to get a little frustrated. So at that point, I tried a totally different approach. I thought maybe that the artillery display that we see in the video could be something I could look for. So I just started searching for photos of artillery displays in the various different states I was looking at. But I didn't find anything useful that way either. Striking out, dog. I know. Bruh, are you sure that's a church? No, I'm not sure. Because I'm just saying, this blue bin here makes me feel like maybe this is a library. You know, that looks like the kind of bin you put your library books in. Good point. Based on Chad's suggestion that this might be a library, I started looking for libraries that were close to pedestrian bridges. But I still didn't find it. At that point, I was thinking maybe I was just wrong about what I was seeing on that state flag. But I looked at it again, and it was definitely a blue flag with some kind of light-colored design in the middle. Now, I hadn't checked every state that had a flag that could match that description, just the ones that I thought were most plausible. But as I was looking at state flags again, I realized that the Minnesota flag actually looks a lot like the Virginia flag, so I don't know why I wasn't including that in my initial search. Incidentally, if you're running to the comments right now to tell me that the Minnesota flag actually looks like this right now, I know. But I'm pretty sure that this video was sent in before that change was made last year. Also, I suspect it takes a while to change out every flag in the state, so I figured it was pretty safe to assume that maybe some places would still have the old flag. Anyway, I tried my query again, this time looking for libraries that were close to pedestrian bridges that crossed waterways in the state of Minnesota. And that got me some results. And as soon as I saw this one, I knew. Guys, that was it. You were here, outside Taqueria Chavez, in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota. I used a street view to confirm the view of everything that we saw in the video. We could see the library and the bridge and everything else, which tells me that you were up here on this deck. And I also did confirm that that was in fact a howitzer or some other kind of artillery, so I'm glad I wasn't making that up. Yo, hook us up with some tacos, bro. Your boy Chad's hungry. And I helped you out with that blocking penalty, so you owe me one. Okay, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one. And this time it's a place I found in Season 1, Episode 232 in Bemidji, Minnesota. That is 91 miles or 147 kilometers away from the spot. Guys, go check out the map of all the places I've found for you so far from the videos you've sent me. And if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.